Hey, everybody. Welcome to Brownstone Worldwide. I'm Paulette, and I'm a part of Brownstone Worldwide. We're in the Brownstone Worldwide studios today, and you all know this show as the Lunch and Learn Hour. Y'all, we have an amazing guest with us today that is going to be sharing some nuggets with you guys. If I were you while I was eating my lunch, I would absolutely grab a pen and paper and start taking notes. We're going to be, I don't even know where to begin because this is so super exciting. But today, y'all, we have a special guest in our studios. Some of you guys may already be following her on Instagram or on TikTok. You know her as Kasey the Ace. Let me make sure that I got that right. And you also know her on TikTok, Marketing Kasey. All right, let's talk about who this amazing individual is so we can get right into it and find out how she did what she did in the amount of time that she's done it. Kasey Brown has spent the last 6 years immersed in the performance marketing world. After working in the corporate world at Goldman Sachs, Accenture, and Stripe, and developing digital strategies for Fortune 500 corporations, Kasey decided to shift focus to helping business owners in the communities she serves and grows. Now, having worked with over 100 brands focused explicitly in paid media and creative on Facebook, Instagram, Google, email, SMS, and now TikTok, this has provided Kasey an interesting perspective on how brands fully and truly scale in modern times with or without venture capital or other backing. Over the past few months, Kasey has helped clients go all in on short form content to dominate social channels like TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Personally, Kasey has grown her TikTok account to around 100,000 followers in the last few months. Ladies and gentlemen, that is amazing. I don't know about you guys, but I'm ready to hear from Kasey the Ace herself. Kasey Brown, come on up here and let's have a conversation. Welcome to the Brownstone.
Thank you. That was an amazing introduction. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Awesome. I'm so glad that you could come and hang out with us today.
Yeah.
Kasey, we have been following you, at least I know I have, and I have watched your social media platforms blossom and grow. But you know what? Here's what's really interesting. First things first, social media is and is not new. Let me put that in perspective, right?
Yeah.
So like social media has been around for a long time, okay? At least I'm going to say minimum since MySpace, 25 years or so, right?
Yep.
Here we are in this new space where video is king and short form content is king. And I have watched you and so many others dominate what you do and how you share your information. You literally at one point you were going once a week and you were sharing what the hottest things were, what was going on, how to make it work for your individual accounts and whatever. How in the world did you start doing that?
Yeah, it's a big question. It's an interesting journey. At the highest level, let me start off by saying this. So I started and opened a marketing agency in 2021. So only 2 years-ish ago. Before that, I was in corporate and kind of doing what I do now, but think of it more so for corporations. But we opened up the agency in 2021 as an agency. Really, the primary focus, we were focused on Facebook ads, right? So at the time, the thought or thesis that I had was say the best way to get brands profitable is if we can run Facebook ads, right? Facebook ads, very cheap attention, things like that. So we started that in January 2021 is kind of like, or February, 2021 is when we officially opened the doors. Yeah. And then less than 2 months later, this big shift happened in Facebook ads, which was Apple updated their iOS to iOS 14.5, which then allowed people to opt out of being tracked by the platforms, right?
Yeah.
A big key to Facebook ads at the time was like, hey, we can like literally track people, we can track their activity, we can find out a lot about them, and then place the ad right in front of the person that we want, right? Yeah. But as soon as Apple said, hey, do you want to be tracked by this app? Everybody started opting out of that. right?
Yep.
And so as an ad agency, we
Mhm.
could have either done one of two things. We could have just like ran and been like, oh, it's over, Facebook ads is over, which I know a lot of agencies at the time just didn't know what to do.
Right.
Or we could start looking at, hey, how do we make this work now,
Yeah.
right? And I was saying this to our team, like, hey, we got to get back to basics. We have to get back to the basic marketing principles. And because I came from this corporate world and had a lot of marketing background,
Mhm.
it was, I won't say easy, but we were able to shift pretty fast.
Okay.
What we saw was that, hey, the accounts that are winning, we actually had probably like 2 to 3 accounts at that time that actually started like winning. As soon as iOS 14.5 had happened, they just started accelerating. And it was weird because I was like, hey, what are these people doing differently? Because all the other accounts are just shooting down, right?
Mhm.
The thing that those people were doing very differently was that they were making better creative for the ads, right? The ads were better. The other thing that we saw was like, not only were the ads better for those accounts, but they were in this TikTok style. A lot of the accounts that we were running, they were using this like TikTok style of video, right? Vertical video, text overlay, looks like it was shot on the iPhone. And so that was kind of our introduction into like, hey, there's something like really going on good here with this TikTok style of video.
Yeah.
And so we started putting most of our clients on TikTok, like, hey guys, start creating on TikTok. And it wasn't about the platform. We as an ad agency just wanted that content and wanted that creative. So we were like, hey, make us TikTok videos. And so we got a lot of our clients there. We started having some really great success throughout 2021. And then in 2022, I started talking a lot about TikTok and videos and things like this because I saw how it was working for our clients. But I personally was not on the platform. We had been working on the platform for about a year at this point, but I never started a TikTok account.
Really?
Yeah, so I didn't start one. Believe it or not, people don't believe this because I make so much content now, but I'm not the type, like I'm not a front end person. I don't need to be the face of anything. Like I just like to work and do. And so even still at that point to 2022, after being on the platform, seeing what it's doing for all of our clients, I never jumped on there. I didn't jump on the platform until May of 2022. And I didn't actually start pushing out consistent content until June of 2022. So just a year ago. And this kind of led me into this content creator-esque TikTok person because I started posting on TikTok. I will say we, because my team uses myself as a testing ground for our clients. So we started strategizing for TikTok. And just within the first month, we grew to about 50K followers, went viral and helped our clients do the same thing.
That is crazy. And so you're the test pilot, you're the beta group yourself.
Exactly.
And so that means a couple of things. So here's what I hear: tenacity. I hear no fear. Even though there may be, you're not really afraid of it because it's like, okay, bring on the challenge, especially when iOS actually made their change. I was one of the ones that turned it off, right? And I did only because I was like, you know what? I'm sick of seeing this. I'm sick of seeing that, right? I didn't know exactly how it worked because I work more over here on this side. So I don't know what's happening behind there. And when I saw all of the posts about what options I had as a consumer, I absolutely took advantage of it. So you went all in. Is that right? You were like, okay, guys, let's pivot. Let's do that. So quick question for you, for our audience. When we're talking about making that kind of a pivot, is it something that you make overnight, or would you say that it was a decision that you made with your team and you decided, y'all, we got to do this or we're going to lose? How do you tell someone that?
Yeah, so it definitely was not a decision we made overnight. So we knew that the iOS change was happening. I think Apple, started talking about that at the top of 2021. So we knew a change was about to come. And so we did start thinking about how can we double down on content and creative and get back to these basic principles. So that didn't change overnight. It was very well thought out. But even me going all in on TikTok or trying to convince our clients to go all in on TikTok, it really just became a data game, right? And so I had at the time 2 to 3 clients that were doing it without me telling them to, like they just wanted to do it. And so I was able to just see the numbers and see the data and say like, hey, this is working. So either we go this route and maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, or we just sit around and do nothing, right? And so inaction was not a viable option at that time, right? Like it was like, we have to do something. And so we have the numbers pointing to like, hey, if we make this form of content, we could get somewhere closer than where we're at, right? And so that's kind of like what led to that all-in decision.
Okay, so it sounds like, okay, it's either all or this, and that's okay. But for those of us who are so new to this game and so worried that people aren't watching. I got 200 views and that's all. I don't know exactly what to do. Should I listen to what Kasey and her team is saying? How am I going to grow my business? Am I going to put all of this money into it and pray? Or is there a true strategy to what you do? Now, the reason why I bring this up is because I saw a video that you did the other day, Kasey, where you and your team were literally shooting like hundreds of pieces of content. And so what does that strategy look like when you're working with the client, and what should someone who is concerned with, I've got 222 views, which seems to be like the max for most people, and I'm hearing a lot about that. How do you decide how many pieces of content? Is it based upon their campaign? Do you say to someone who's new to this and maybe, is looking to work with you, how do you get that much time to do what you do?
Yeah, there is a couple of things that I want to call out there. A couple kind of like good questions that you asked there. But first things first, if you have 222 views, right? I think that's the number that you threw out there. There's a reason for that. And I could go back to answering why this 200, it's usually a range of 200 to 400. And I always play this trick on people. I say, I bet I could guess how many views like you're getting. And I'll be like 200 to 400. And they'll be like, how'd you know? I'll tell you why in a second. But the one thing that I'll say for the mind is like, you feel like no one's watching. That's the best time to create, right? When like no one's watching and like test stuff. So like, I would love if I felt like no one was watching. A lot of our clients, there's some people watching my stuff now, but when no one was watching, when I felt like no one was watching, I was so much more creative, like having a lot more fun with it. Yeah, because no one's watching, right? If I'm like, hey, no one's gonna see this, like I would just have fun with it, right? And so if you do feel like that, lean into like, well, what if 1 million people were watching? Like, how would you react then, right? So like lean into like the advantage that you have that, hey, no one's watching. Like if this goes bad, no one's gonna see it. If this goes good, no one's gonna see it. So like you might as well do it, right? So like keep telling your mind that no one's watching. I love it.
I love it.
And then I think you asked this question around, should I spend all this time, put this money into it? The thing about organic content, right? So like we do work with clients, and these clients that we actually work with, 7, 8, 9-figure brands, right? So they have the budgets to do kind of the stuff that we do. The thing about organic content is that it is free to create, right? Most of us now in this day and age have a device that has some sort of camera on it. And these devices have actually even really better cameras than some of the like professional cameras. The cameras are amazing now. And so we can just pick up our phone and create, right? You do not actually have to put a lot of money into creating these videos. Now you may need to put some time into it. But even the clients that we work with, we ask them maybe spend like 30 minutes a day creating. Within 30 minutes, even if you're new to it, you can put out a video a day, just 30 minutes a day. Right.
Absolutely.
And then I think you asked me the question around strategy. The strategy that we think through. So let me tell you guys this. So when we fly out to a client, we sit down with them, and over the course of 2 days, we will record around 300 videos. It's a crazy amount, but we'll record around 300 videos. Now, all 300 don't pass our green light, right? Because we're trying to get clients viral. So we'll post 100 videos. So out of that 300 we record, we'll find the 100 best of those, and then we'll post for them every day for the next 3 months, right? 90-ish videos. And so our strategy is really probably very simple. And I think it's applicable to anybody, whether you have a team there or you're just there with your iPhone. But what we're trying to do is get personal stories out of our clients, right? And like I said, a lot of our clients are business people. They're used to only talking about business, doing conferences, only talking about business. Nobody wants to hear about that stuff online. People want to hear about like you. They want to be like entertained. They want to hear things that are applicable to the masses. And so most of our strategy is actually like taking our clients to dinner, like kind of getting them out of that setting, hearing about personal stories. And then when we're ready to shoot, like we pull out those personal stories, right? We pull out those personal kind of like attributes. The thing that I say is the 80-20 rule when it comes to content. 80% of your content applicable to everybody. Right? My mom would watch it, I would watch it, my little sister would watch it. 20% of that content can be about what you're an expert in. If you're a business owner, it can be about that stuff. If you have a media company, it can be about that stuff. If you have a candle company, it can be about that stuff. Only 20% of your content. 80% of content applicable to all people. And that's kind of the strategies and the numbers that we follow.
So for those of you all who are watching, I hope that you wrote that down, because Kasey just dropped a huge nugget into your lap, right? And you didn't have to go to a conference to get it. You're watching, you're listening, you're seeing a breakout with Kasey Brown and how her agency does the things that they do for their clients. If I were you, I would write that down, or I would scroll back just a little bit, because this was heavy, right? This was heavy like gold. I'm just saying, and I appreciate you for sharing that with us. So when I heard you say 300 pieces of content for your clients, you fly out, you're packing the bags, you're taking the equipment, you're taking your crew with you, and then you all comb through these pieces of content, and you're doing 100 pieces of content, and then you're going to post that for 3 months for your client. That's amazing. But the question for you is, how you living?
How you living?
Like, do you breathe? Do you take breaks? When do you have the time to just be for you and your family and for people that you love? What does that look like?
It's actually so funny because I was actually having my strategy call. So I'm a client of our company, right? So my team works on like I said, we use my accounts as testing ground strategies. So I was actually earlier this morning, we had my client call where we were going through things, and we're coming up with this new framework, right? So we're coming up with this new framework. I don't want to talk too much about it yet because I haven't cleaned it up, but we're coming up with this new framework. But then under that framework, what we're starting to uncover for myself, and then what we're going to do with our clients, is just start understanding kind of like their core values, like these things that they just really live by. And I was having a hard time thinking of what are some things I really it's hard for me to do it, right? And so I asked my team, hey, you guys talk to me all day, every day, what are some of the things you guys think about that? And so one of the things was one of my teammates was Kasey, you don't sacrifice anything, especially your relationships, you're building, you're doing, but I've literally witnessed you, you will cancel meetings, you will protect us, you do not sacrifice relationships. And I think that's something you really stand on. So to this point, you said how am I living? I think I know the business is doing some great things. We've been able to scale really, really fast, but my number one priority in this life is relationships. It's my relationship with my grandparents, my mom, my parents, my partner, my friends, right? Those, my team, we have really strong relationships in our company. And I prioritize those things, even if it means and I hate that I'm this person now, but I have calendar settings where it's call mom, do this, it's just on my calendar now.
I love that.
And so those relationships, or taking breaks, taking vacations. I actually just took my mom to Cape Town a couple months ago. Those things are a top priority for me.
Got it.
For sure.
Got it. So you do take the time, because again, I think the mother in me is going, my God, does she take a break?
We do.
It's so important, even for any business owner of any size, to literally take time to rejuvenate and to recharge. And you took your mom to Cape Town, and you guys spent some time there. I'm sure you all had an amazing time. So here's the other question. When you take out those times to take the break, do you really break?
No, that's the question. That's the question. So I really, if I were to answer this question probably like 8 months ago, I would
Yep.
like have to chuckle and be like, nah, I don't.
Right.
But I've seen over these past 3 years that I've been really building this thing. I have seen what the impacts of like not breaking do to
Yeah.
you. And
Yeah.
so at this stage in my life and in the business and everything, I really do take breaks. Now,
Good.
I'm sitting in a position though, right, where I have a team, I have systems, I have a lot of things. So I don't want to
Yeah.
like discount this other
Absolutely.
season that I was in where like I didn't have all those things to like really
Mhm.
take the break.
Mhm.
But I have those things now, and so I really do take those breaks and even force my team to take breaks and things like that as well.
Mhm. Mhm. And so
I also
you
get the
talk-
best ideas. Like I get the best ideas for the business when I like offload, right?
exactly.
And probably people can relate to this. Like when you're
Yeah.
washing the dishes or driving or
Mhm.
in the shower, like I feel like you get the best downloads, right?
Yep.
And so I do try to at least once a quarter have a long shower break where I'm just like out, no computer, no phone.
Yeah.
And I feel like
Yeah.
I just will journal and read and explore.
Okay.
I get the best downloads that help our
Mhm.
business grow tremendously.
And that's beautiful that you even called it downloads, because I honestly believe some of this is true channeling. That's a whole different conversation for another day. However, that is truly how we get those amazing ideas, is to offload and to take, or as I call it, stopping the world and getting off. Because if you're
Yeah.
not careful, you're going to end up finding yourself in this crazy rut. Folks, did y'all hear that? Oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure you heard that. Okay. All right. So, with that said, when you are in the middle of everything that you're doing and you have a team and you're responsible for all of these people, who takes care of Kasey Brown?
I do. I mean, I will say like I have great support systems. Like my support,
Good.
my parents, my like friend, like everybody
Yeah.
can and tries to do that. But the responsibility is for me to take care of me, right?
Good deal.
And so I have had to learn that though. I've had to learn like if there is nobody around me, again, I have the best support system. But
Good deal.
the thing that I'll call out is like I think especially as entrepreneurs, business owners, as people, like we shouldn't put that ownership on anybody else but ourselves, right? Like we should
I
not
love
put
that.
that ownership to be fed, to be taken care of, to like we should have those skills to say and set those boundaries. Hey, I need a
Yeah.
break. I'm gonna go get a hotel room. I'm gonna go whatever taking care. I'm gonna go get a massage. Hey, I'm gonna sign off early and go take my walk. Like
Yeah.
whatever that looks like for you to take care of yourself. We should I feel like we should put that ownership on ourselves. So my support system is great, but I have had to learn how to set those boundaries. I have had to grow up and learn how to like take care of myself.
That's good stuff right there. Good stuff. And the reason why I ask that is because I myself, this is not the first business that I've had. I've had many, and I have learned just exactly what you've said. And you're literally like one of the only people that has ever answered with me. I take care of myself, and the support system is great. Now, let's get back into the business of what you do, and the tips that I would love for our listeners and our followers to hear. Number one, when it looks like all hell is getting ready to break loose in your business, be it you lost a client for whatever reason, or the funding or the resources aren't coming in fast enough to pay your staff, or, keep things moving, or XYZ, or, I'll pay you in the next 3 weeks. And it's like, okay, yeah, but so when that happens, what would you say to someone who's dealing with that? Rather, do they close the doors or do they pivot?
I think, and maybe people will hate this answer, but it depends. And the only reason I say it depends is because here's the only thing that is a constant is change, right? Yep. Change is the only constant. So it does not matter what business you start, who you date, who you marry, like how you live, where you live, like all these things. Like the only thing that is constant is that things will change.
Absolutely.
Right? And for me, I even did this because that cycle is like things will be up, things will be down. That is true of anything, any situation. There's going to be ups and downs, right? And so please understand that. So if the business is going through some things, please understand, hey, if you shut it down and you go corporate or you go find a job or you start another business, there's going to be ups and downs in that thing too. The only way or the only reason when I say like pivot or close that door is if you sit down with yourself and say like, hey, I'm not in this anymore. You know, like I'm not being fueled by this anymore. And like have an honest conversation with yourself, right? Are you only like feeling like that because it was a bad day? Or do you really not feel like fed by it, right? My partner told me this quote and I want to like make it a life principle, but the quote was like, don't quit on a bad day, right? Don't quit on a bad day because you get too clouded. You get too clouded, right? Now you can quit. Like I'm a huge fan of quitting. If it's not serving you anymore, quit it, right? But don't quit on a bad day. And so if you have that moment, everything is going to crazy, I say continue in that moment. Then when you're back on, upward swing, sit down with yourself and say like, hey, is this thing fueling me? Is it feeding me? Do I want to continue it? Don't allow the good or bad to sway you because there's going to be good or bad in anything else that you do.
Absolutely. I love that. Yes, you can tell that you are a professional interviewer. You didn't even have to think about that. Listen, everybody else goes, so I'm like, okay, this is really, really good. And so now that you've had the level of success that you have and you've worked hard for it, right? And I literally was watching some of your stories today and some of the things that you're doing now, what you're planning in your personal life and that kind of thing. And then you put up like this survey and all of that. And I said, oh, that's pretty cool how she does that. And just hearing your story from a personal perspective, I'm going to ask this question. How personal is too freaking personal? How
for
deep?
me? Yeah. So I was telling you about this meeting that I have with my team, right? So another like thing that they said about me was like, you are like radically transparent and just like say anything. So for me, like nothing is too personal.
Yeah.
As long as it like is my story to share, is mine to share. Nothing's too personal. Yeah.
Okay. And is that anything that someone should use possibly as a strategy towards, because I see this a lot, like people kind of pretend that my life was this and then I did this and now I want to show you how I did this and here's the call to action. I don't, here's the truth. I saw a video that you did about a week or two ago, maybe longer, where you were just coming back from your trip and you said, I want to be more intentional with sharing more of me from this perspective. And you kind of broke it down just a little bit, right? And you talked about it earlier in our talk about the 80-20, how you wanted to share more there. So when you decided that you were going to do that, was it ever just, I want to share the 80-20 of my life, or was there a strategy behind that?
A lot of the things that I do on the content are, believe it, for me personally, has no like strategy. And I think it comes from like, let's see what works, let's see what impacts people, and then we can turn it into a strategy for our clients. And so most of the things that I do, or all the things that I do, have no strategy behind it. Sometimes my team will create a strategy from it to apply to our clients. But for me, talking about, like, I've always been this way. I've always loved to share. I think that I selfishly learn the most from other people's stories, right? So I'm a person that when I'm taking a break, I'm watching a documentary, I'm listening to a podcast. Like, I just love hearing people's stories and journeys. And so I think just because I love that, that's what I try to share and push out into the world. Also, selfishly, the stuff that I share on the internet, I just telling a client this: no one's thinking about you as much as you are thinking about you, right? And so, like, nobody, like, I post stuff every day. Nobody, maybe for that 30 seconds, they're thinking about me, but no one is sitting on their couch like, man, Kasey posted that thing today. Like, no one's thinking about me, right? And so, the mindset that I get into of like, is this too personal? Is this, like, I always just tell myself, like, no one's gonna be like sitting over dinner thinking about this, right? And also, I see it as like a personal, like, diary, like a memory book that I can like look back on in 10 years. Like, I would love to like look back on me sharing something personal in 10 years and like get a chuckle out of it. Like, man, I was going through a really bad day that day, right? And then 10 years from now, it was like, it seems so minute and, you know, things like that. So.
That is amazing. I love that. And I love the fact that of the transparency and sharing that part, because it's so funny. I'm the same. I literally say Ain't nobody paying attention to me that tough. They
No.
don't care.
No.
So let me go ahead and tell how my day went, or how I went and got coffee today, because it was awesome. You know, and if people love that, great. If they follow you, wonderful. But then they'll get more. They're going to get more of that. And I share a lot of my life personally on social media. And to that, some people are offended. Do you think that you have offended people? Have they told you?
People in the comments probably have said it. I know that I have. I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure I've offended people. I'm sure I've offended people. I've probably more so just have people that disagree more than maybe like personal offense, right? They just don't agree with what I'm saying. And it happens every day for me on the internet, right? But I think that is what makes, so this is a strategy point. The more that you can stand on something firm, the better that content will do, right? If you think about anybody that is popular right now in content, they have very strong beliefs. Like they're not neutral on the things that they talk, like they're just very strong, whether you agree with them or not. Like they are famous and have all this attention because they have these strong beliefs and things. And so I think the more you can get confident and comfortable with your beliefs or what you stand on, that even just makes your content better. Now, there's a funny thing that I'm actually on record saying is that like, I hate TikTok. Like I hate TikTok. I don't think it's a great platform. And I'm saying this in 2021. I'm like, nobody should go on TikTok. And so I'm very confident when I have an opinion to like stand on that and share it. But I'm also very open to like changing and being like, hey, I did say that in 2021. I think differently now. Right. That's my only thing. The only constant is change. So I should also be changing. Right.
Absolutely.
And so don't be scared to like put your opinions and say things and offend people and whatever. And maybe tomorrow you actually do change your mind. Totally fine.
And there's nothing wrong with that. And that's the good thing. So last question. What bits of advice would you give our listeners, viewers, readers, subscribers at this very moment about building on and using social media in an organic space?
Yeah, I think that I live by this quote, or I wouldn't say I live by it. In the company, we talk a lot about this, but attention is our biggest asset, right? I think Alex Hormozi said this, like if you wanted to build wealth, like real wealth, 100 years ago, you had to like be in oil, right? You had to like be in oil. The Rockefeller, like if you wanted to build like real wealth, it was oil. And this day that we're living in, real wealth, if you look at it's attention. It's those that have the most attention are winning. And if wealth doesn't inspire you, for me, it really doesn't. Impact does though, right? Yeah. For those that are having the biggest impact on this world are those with the most attention, right? And so the best way to get attention right now is through social media, right? No longer do you even have to be in a movie or a celebrity or a president or a first lady. Like you don't have to be that to get attention. You can literally just amass attention and amass a following on social media. And so if you do not understand how important it is for your business, like please understand, like even to build that business, you need attention. Absolutely. And then please understand it from a personal brand standpoint. Everybody should be leaning into personal brand and gaining that attention, because I feel like at least probably most of the people watching this and listening to this, we either are trying to build more wealth and or trying to impact the world in more ways. And the ways that we do that in this day and age is through attention.
My goodness. Drop the mic, Shepherd. Because that's it. Get the eyeballs, handle your biz, and make it do what it do. God, I sound so old when I say that.
Okay? Do what it do. I love it.
Make it do what it do. Yes, I love it. You guys, we have in Brownstone Worldwide Studios none other than Kasey Brown of Digital Kairos. I hope I said that right. You know, because some people say Kairos, some people say like, yeah. All right. So listen, this is where you're going to be able to find Kasey Brown on IG, Case the Ace, and on TikTok, Marketing Case. You can go ahead and find her and take a look at how she is building her team and how she's helping you to do the same thing. We are so appreciative for you coming to hang out with us today.
That's
We know
awesome.
you're busy because normally this is an hour, but honey, I'm sure that we are not the only ones that you are talking to on today. Yes, I said it like you folks on today. So listen.
Yeah.
Again, we appreciate you and the nuggets that you dropped. Stick around for about 2 seconds after this, and I want to grab some information from you so we can share with our folks on Brownstone Worldwide and Brownstone Living Magazine. So you guys, listen, this has been your Lunch and Learn Hour. You can go ahead and check us out. You see over there, KCCR Radio, the Brownstone. Download the app on iOS or Android devices, and then also brownstoneworldwide.com. You guys, we'll see you on another edition of the Lunch and Learn Hour. We'll see you around.